little chilly this morning. Hey guys, Louis from Invercio. Today we're in Gaspésie, Bonaventure, somewhere we've never been, because today we're gonna go see Canadian Gold's new project over here. Let me just say, it's pretty much in tune with a certain commodities price that's soaring right now. All right, so right now we're following Mark from Canadian Gold. He's taking us on the project to go see what's gonna go happen. We're gonna walk the property and we'll show you guys something that you don't wanna miss out on. So Mark, we're here at the Baker vein.
Yeah.
You were mentioning over at the truck, because we see some quartz here. So does that pertain to what you were saying?
Yeah, so this is the Baker vein. This has gold, silver, lead, and zinc in it. And parts of it has a lot of lead. It is a sulfide-based mineralization. So the gold will be inside the sulfides. So we can use geophysics to find the sulfides, and from that, the gold. And so on surface here, right on surface, we have 15 grams per ton, and it's extending on surface for about 400 to 500 meters. So from that direction, coming down through here and cutting down along this direction. So you can see the quartz vein on surface. You can see the rusting right here from the sulfides. Yep. This is one of the high grade areas. So if you stand on it, you're standing on top of gold.
Wow.
And you can see a lot more of that rusty rock.
Yep.
So more of the sulfides, which is holding a lot of the gold. You'll see the sulfides right here. We got a beautiful day with the sun perfectly shining right on this. This is just rich with mineralization all through here.
Wow.
Sulfides, the lead and zinc, the gold, the silver.
These are the deposits you like.
I love this stuff. This is crazy. Running about 15 grams per ton. The work that we'll do will be to verify the historic work and then build on top of that to expand it out.
It's crazy though that it's at surface.
Yeah.
I mean, in a region like we were saying in Gaspésie, which is not a region that's historically known for gold, but at the same time has a lot of historical background here. I mean, finding something like this of this magnitude at these grades is pretty impressive.
Yep. We're pretty happy to have this property as a part of Canadian Gold Resources. You'll see this vein extending down through here. Yep. You can see it cutting through the rocks and the host rock on either side of it, which are the metasediments. This is structurally controlled. So this is a quartz vein, but that quartz vein is in place because of the pre-existing structures. And those pre-existing structures are formed from a strike-slip environment in this area, with the Grand Pablos Fault to the north of us and the River Fault to the south of us. And that's a huge area to have strike-slip motion, and in between that, the rocks are going to get chewed up with structures forming in between them. And then as those structures form in between the two strike-slip faults, you'll have near vertical structures to the strike-slip motions. Here, put your hand up like this.
Yep.
So you'll have a strike-slip coming this way and a strike-slip coming this way, with these structures forming in between. And along those structures, you're going to have dilation features that start to open up in between them. Those are called an echelon. And those structures will fill in with mineralized fluids. Well, with fluids, and some of them with mineralized fluids. So that's what this is. These are the dilation features along those structures forming in between the strike-slip structures. This is a dilation, and it filled in with mineralized fluids. So In an environment like that, you'll get more than this. They'll come as sets. That's my understanding of it, that this will come as sets. So we found this set, and I'm expecting to find more.
And the sets are going to follow pretty much the same fault line.
Yeah, along those structures that form in between the two strike slip main structures, you'll get a bunch of smaller dilation structures opening up along that in-between structure, interlinking structure, and then that's where you'll get these mineralized fluids coming in. So here's one set, and I'm expecting to find more.
Jeez.
And this is running one of the, as I said before, there's a historic resource not compliant to 43101 standards. And it was done in 1975. And it's running about 40,000 tons at a half ounce, or running about a half ounce of 40,000 tons. And that's this area here.
That's a lot of money on the ground.
Yeah, that's a historic resource. And to make that compliant to today's standards, we have to reproduce that work and show it at today's quality control and quality assurance standards and have it independently analyzed. So it has to come up to 43101 standards. But that was enough information for us to be interested in the property and to start doing our own due diligence and talking to the previous workers. And with that, we became comfortable with acquiring the property.
So Mark, here we're at second vein. Which one is this?
This is the Mercereau vein. And so this is an offset from the Baker vein. So the Baker vein is going like this. The Mercereau vein is coming like this. So they're structurally offset. So here, put your hand up again.
Yep.
So that's the structural offset. Baker vein is here, Mercereau vein is here. Okay. So they've been given different names, but they're likely the same vein. So the same mineralization, the same source. And this is running with the same grades as the Baker vein. So this is a pretty good exposure. The previous workers had done a really good job at exposing this. I mentioned one of the historic resources from 1975.
Yeah.
In the 1990s, about 1995, there was a second group of people that came on board, and they also did a historic resource. And they came up with about a third of an ounce over 220,000 tons. So about 10 grams over 220,000 tons. But that's a historic resource estimate, so it does not qualify for 43101 standards. So that's more work that we would do to show that historic resource.
But it seems that you guys, with all this historic data that you guys have and the historic values, I mean, it gives you a good reference base what you can expand on.
That's right. We have more confidence in the property. It's not just simply reading a 43101 and then deciding to acquire the property or not. It's reading the 43101, dissecting that report, and talking to the people who are mentioned in that report. So you go through the history section, and then if you can get a hold of those people, you talk to those people who did the work at that time. And that's what we did. We talked to Patrick Hannon, who did the work in 1975, like I mentioned before. We spoke to another fellow named Gordon Hendricks. He worked on this property in the 1990s and into the 2000s, and he was on the property for a long time. And he worked with the people who did the historic resource in the 1990s, which does not qualify for 43101 standards. I have to keep saying that. And and so talking with those guys, not just one conversation, but having several conversations and really digging down and being like a Sherlock Holmes and talking to them, meeting with them, and going over their work that they did at that time, that gives you greater confidence and greater reassurance on the report that you have in your hands. And then from there, you put your own money into it and you start building a company.
Because that's what I was going to say. Anyone can claim projects in Quebec, but without that Sherlock Holmes work that you mentioned, and having still, regardless if it's not 43101 compliant, that historic value, it just makes it that much more to build your confidence towards a good investment for yourself, for the company, and for the shareholders.
So the people who did the work in the past, the historic work, you seek those people out and you talk to those people who did that work that the historic resources are based on. And then you, as one of the founders of the company, you can have more confidence in that historic non-compliant resource based on your conversations with the people who actually did that physical work back then in those times, in the 1970s and the 1990s. And then you acquire the property and build a company from it. But I mean, it's not just acquiring the property and building the company. It's putting your money where your mouth is. So I've poured a lot of my own money into this. My partner, the gentleman that I'm working with, Ron Gogwin, he's poured his money into this as well. We are the two leading major investors in this company, and we are the ones leading the investments to build this property.
And that's what investors are looking for. They're looking for management that puts their own money into the project, puts their money where their mouth is, exactly like you said.
You want to be aligned with the shareholders. So when the founders do well, the investors do well, the shareholders. When the shareholders do well, the founders do well.
And that's what you want when you're investing, especially in these capital markets.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, you've done this before, and you seem to like these types of structures.
Yeah.
Mark, tell us a little bit about your history and background, because there's a reason you like these types of structures.
Yeah, there is. So one of my greatest successes is a gold-silver property in Mexico called the Pilar property. I searched through 150, 170 different properties, and I came across the Pilar property. It took me months and months to find a property that I really like. That property, the Pilar property in Mexico, which is currently held by Talkvan Ventures, optioned from Calibre Resources. I have 620,000 shares in that company. I once had 1 million shares in that company. That property has strike slip structures on it, so horizontal movement, and the strike slip structures are connected to each other with interlinking structures. And when can you hang on to this for me?
Yeah, of course.
So when you have the strike slip motion on the surface of the planet and the rocks start to move, in between them, you're going to get structures that form in between those strike slip structures. These are interlinking structures. And along those interlinking structures, when the strike slip happens and the interlinking structures form, you're going to get openings, dilation features, and they look like swirls. They're an-echelon structures. And in those structures, they'll start to open up, and that's where you can get a lot of hydrothermal fluids flowing up into it. And if you're in the right environment, you'll get gold and silver coming along with that. And typically in an epithermal style deposit, you'll get lead and zinc to go along with that gold and silver. And epithermals are really good for having bonanza grade gold. So bonanza grade is a definition for a particular grade of gold, which is 30 grams per ton and greater than that. And so I go after properties like that. And so we have that kind of feature happening here. That was a pretty good success for me, the Pilar property. I was responsible for finding the high-grade gold, the high-grade silver, opening up the whole property for that high-grade gold and high-grade silver, discovering another structure, and then having 2 epithermal pipes on that property as well. So I'm looking for similar environments like that, and Lac Arsenal is like that. Oh, by the way, that stock, working with the investment relations firm at that time, that stock went from 10 cents to about $1.70.
Jeez.
So that was a pretty good success.
Well, with a project like what you seem to have picked up here, and especially with your background, let's just say that investors are well in hand with someone who's seen this type of project and as well has had success with this type of project.
That's right. This property here is showing the same kind of structures that I came across on the Pilar property that gave me one of my biggest successes in my career. And these are similar structures, but they are on a bigger scale.
Oof.
So
Bigger scale.
Yeah, the structures are spanning a greater distance. The strike slip are wider from each other, or further from each other. So there's a lot to explore, and so I'm optimistic. Forward-looking statement. I'm optimistic for seeing more of what we have here. Maybe more structures like this.
Well, Mark, appreciate you taking us around. I'm loving this project. I'm loving the region. And especially, I'm loving the fact that you have your money where your mouth is, just like your partner.
Yep. Our shares are the same as the investors' shares, and we're aligned with the investors.
The things I do for the investors. I'm working for you guys.
Thank you so much for watching. Give us a like, hit the subscribe button and comment down below. And don't forget to watch our last video. Bye!